Hello, today I want to talk about addiction. Um, it's not quite addiction that I want to talk about. It's the state that people that are addicted want to achieve. And I haven't quite found a good word for what I mean in English. It's a kind of happiness, but I want to reserve the term happiness for real happiness. And if you're in addiction, maybe you're an alcohol addict, the state that you're in that feels like happiness when you're intoxicated is not happiness. It just feels like it. And maybe I term this state intoxication, and I mean the psychological state if you're intoxicated physically or medically. So I'm talking about psychological states. So it's a sibling of happiness. And my theory is that happiness comes about if you create values and then are conscious of these values that you created. That may be a good marriage, that may be a good piece of work, that may be a good deed to somebody else. And so it has to do with virtue. If you are virtuous, and then you create value, and if you are evaluating what you're doing and you're conscious of it, then happiness will arise. And intoxication or addiction is the attempt to feel happiness without doing the work, without being virtuous, without creating the value that is necessary for happiness to arise involuntarily. And so it's a kind of cheating. And of course, this happiness that you create by ingesting chemicals or by working more than you naturally want to do, or by some excessive actions, that creates a kind of excitement, a kind of happiness. I say intoxication to it. That feels similar to happiness. And this excitement state also, often with the help of chemicals, numbs you for the difference, so that you can tell yourself that you're really happy and that there's no problem, although you didn't do all the work that would be necessary in order to be really happy. And you can feel the difference between the two states, this false happiness called intoxication, and this correct happiness or this real happiness called happiness. I think the happiness is more grounded, is more calm, is more tolerant to contradictions or to limits of it, whereas the intoxicated state is more off the ground, is more vibrating, is more excited, and is a bit hollow. It feels hollow, and is not so tolerant of limits. It feels unlimited more. So it's more of an absolute state. You believe you're absolutely happy, and there's no problem, which is not quite correct. So you can, if you really closely attend to the experience of these situations, of these experiences, of these feelings, then you can discern them, I propose. Okay, but why do people do this? No, first, the intoxicated state doesn't last as long because the foundations are chemically produced or through excessive actions, And so if the effects of the chemical is dying off, then your happiness goes away. Whereas if you really worked on something valuable and the value is created, it's there. You can always refer to it, and you can always enjoy what you did. That's not going away. So that's more stable. And the problem with an addiction is that you cheated your way towards intoxication, seeming happiness, and then this happiness goes away, and then you crave for another happiness. And then, of course, you again use this action or this chemical in order to recreate this intoxicated state that feels like happiness. And so an addiction would be a refusal to admit that the intoxicated state was just a fake happiness, and that you have to turn around and do your work. And if you refuse to admit this, then you, of course, intensify your attempts to cheat your way into happiness. Why do people do this? That seems like a pretty dumb and silly situation, a strategy for happiness to go for. Yeah, I think the problem is that addicts usually have lost the hope that they can achieve happiness through creating value. That means that mostly they are very damaged, and that not for all aspects of their life, but for some aspects of their life that they are very relevant to happiness, they have lost hope of creating value, of being valuable to other persons, of being virtuous and lovable, and you cannot live with that feeling unless or you will kill yourself. And if you have no hope, no perspective for gaining happiness through your work and your actions, then it's better to go for fake happiness. I mean, that's a survival strategy that's pretty sad, but it's a good one. It works. And of course I hope that every addict is finding the support and the strength within themselves to turn around and do the real work for happiness, and don't be content with the fake happiness. But I think it's necessary for understanding addicts that you see that they have within themselves huge obstacles for believing that they can really create value in relevant aspects of their life. So that's a very fundamental distinction in feelings and emotions. And yeah, I think that's enough for now, and let me know what you think, and thanks for watching.